Namaste. Welcome to Pokhara official YouTube channel. Dear students, this video deals with drug addiction, lagu padartha lab tatha addiction. This presentation is especially focused to the students of class 8, 9, and 10 learning, health, population, and environment education and social study presented by Govinda Adhikari. Dear students, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to learn the meaning or conceive of drug addiction and tell the causes and effects of drug addiction. Before we have a discussion on the concept of drug addiction, let us analyze the word drug addiction. Uh, uh, Drug addiction composed by two words, drug and addiction. So we'll discuss the concept of drug and addiction separately in the beginning and drug addiction together here. Dear students, let us have a look what is drug. Lagu padartha भनेको के हो? A drug is any substance that causes a change in an organism's physiology or psychology when consumed. Drugs are typically distinguished from food substances that provide nutritional support. Consumption of drugs can be via inhalation, injection, smoking, ingestion, or swallowing, absorption by a patch on the skin, or dissolution under the tongue. Strengths any substance that causes a change in an individual mind and behavior when it is consumed, that is called drug. Drugs are different from the foods or the nutritious things what we consume, and people use drugs through different modes by smoking, inhalation, injection, uh, dissolution under the tongue, or absorption by the patch in the skins. So the pictures also suggest that how people use these drugs. Now come to have a discussion on what is addiction. What is addiction? Let us have a look on the slide. Addiction is a psychological or physical inability to stop consuming a chemical drug, activities, or substance, even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. That means uh, a person who is addicted, that person cannot stop psychologically and physically consuming that substance, even though it has negative effects psychologically and physically, or the person is unable to control consuming the chemical substances or activities related to that. That is called addiction. Or addiction is a disease that affects one's brain and behavior. Uh, this is what the concepts of addiction. Then now let us look on the concept of drug addiction. When you are addicted to drugs, you can't resist the urge to use them, no matter how much harm the drugs make us. This is what we call drug addiction. Dear students, if somebody is addicted to drugs, he cannot control, he cannot stop using them, even if this drug may affect negatively, this drug may affect psychologically and physically as well. This is what is the concept of drug addiction. For instance, you know the concept of drug addiction, don't you? Resistance by drug addiction, we have to know other things as well. Drug addiction is not about just heroin, cocaine, or other illegal drugs. You can get addicted to alcohol, nicotine, opioid painkillers, legal substances as well. People who are addicted to drugs are called drug addicts. So here, drug addiction means addiction to legal and illegal substances, and alcohol, nicotine, and painkillers, and other legal medicines also, or other legal substances also are related to the drug addiction. Those who use drugs, who are addicted to drugs, are called drug addicts. Friends, this is what the concept of drug addiction. Now, why people become the victim of drug addiction or drug abuse? Let's have a discussion in different points. The first point is uh, they use drugs to get relief from unnecessary mental tension. People use drugs to get relief from unnecessary mental tension because they think that drugs are only that substance, drugs are the ways, drugs are the solution to control their tensions. They think and then they use that. But this is finally cause the addiction. The next point is friendship with drugs. Friends, if you have drug addict friends, then you will also easily be victimized by that because if you had bad company and then you learn bad things. If you have good company, you can learn good things. So if you behave, if you have friends who use drugs, and then you may do many up and down with them, and then in order to make your friend happiness, you just try using that chemical substances, and then in the beginning you taste, and at last you are habituated of using that. So this is how you become victimized by drug addiction. Next point is failure in various activities, lack of household support, unemployment, etc. are some psychological cause of drug use. Resistance, when you become failure in activities, or when there is lack of household supports, or if the people are unemployed, this may create some psychological tension. So in order to minimize that tension, people start using drugs. This is what finally causes the drug addiction. The next one is some become drug addicts due to smugglers. The students, smugglers involves import and export of the drugs. When the smugglers do import and export of the drugs, they use different kind of means, like the children like you also become the carrier to import and export of the drugs, and then you will be provided some incentives, and then in order to get that incentive, you also participate, you also help the smugglers, and finally you also become victim of drug addicts. So that is another cause. And one more, unnecessary imitation and sense of pseudo freedom of Western society. Children, in our society there are different kind of cultural activities like feast and festivals. So in order to observe that feast and festivals, people have started imitation from the Western cultures. So this day, if there is no drinks, if there is no alcohol, that many feast and festival are supposed to lose their color, lose their beauty. So to make the feast and festival colorful, entertaining also, people follow the Western society's culture. As a result, people become the victim of drug addiction. And the next one is some people use cannabis or hashish in the name of religion also. So you know that gaza or cherries. In Nepalese cultures, there are some religious activities like Holi, Shivaratri. During this festival, people use cannabis and hashish, and then if they start using occasionally, and then finally they become habituated of using that as well. So that is also the cause of drug addictions. Dear students, up to now we discuss about the cause of drug addiction or drug abuse. Now come to have the discussion on drug effects of drug addictions. Yes, I in term of definition also, I have showed the slide that um, drug addiction adversely affects in the brain or physical or mental activities of the individuals. Now let us talk that in point wise. The first point is drug addiction causes affects mentally, or it causes mental retardation or loss of memory power, because drug addiction is a disease that affects the brain of an individual, or that affects the nervous system of an individual. When there is adverse effect in the nervous systems, people can easily lose their memory power. A drug addicts has the loss of memory powers. The next point is no harmony between thinking and doing or loss of psychomotor coordinations. That students is drug addiction affects psychologically and physically, and drug addicts cannot maintain the balance between uh, what they think and what they do. So they lost the psychomotor coordination. uh, Third point is due to drug addiction, that is, the people become intoxicated, and they become there is the high chances of being victim of accidents. As you already know that drug addiction means addiction to the alcohol or any other intoxicated substances. Also, because of that, people lose their mental and physical balance. As a result, accident take place. The fourth one, loss of appetite and relaxation in body. The students, those people who are drug addicts, they don't have a desire for food, and they cannot have a sound sleep as well. So irritation, and then the irritation occurs to their mind, so they cannot sleep properly as well. So this is another effects of drug addiction. Now come to another one. Due to drug addiction, drowsiness, nausea, and vomiting creatures. Dear students, drowsiness means if the people cannot sleep for a long time, they feel like they look like they feel like sleeping, and nausea feel like vomiting, and then vomiting. That you can see in the picture. So drug addicts have such kind of symptoms. Drug addicts look like they are they have they had never fulfilled their sleeping. They look as if they have not taken a good rest, and they feel like vomiting and desert. And next point is there is adverse effects in reproductive health and infertility due to drug addiction. Dear students, uh, if the drugs adversely affect in the brain, and everything, every systems of our bodies are guided by brain. So if our brain cannot work properly, and other system also cannot function properly. So in the same way, reproductive function of the individual who use drug also cannot perform properly, and then they cannot they are not able to give birth to the child as well. So that is what another effect of drug addiction. One more, infections of hepatitis B, C, HIV/AIDS for intravenous drug users. Uh, if the people who use drugs through injection, and there is the high chances of infection, transmission of the disease like hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and HIV/AIDS. That is another big problems. And another effects, prolonged drug abuse can cause death. It means if the people use drug for a long time, their death occurs due to that. It means drug addicts finally die due to the use of that drugs. So that is another effect. Students, now come to the another one. Mm, Drug addiction, due to drug addiction, socioeconomic crimes and problems occurs. The problems like plundering, robbery, theft, or other crime, etc., can increase. Why these crimes occurs? The first things, drug addicts need more drugs, and it is very difficult to manage. It is very difficult for them to make the financial managements. So, in order to make the financial management as well, the drug addicts involves in such kind of activity like plundering, robbery, theft. Not only that, when they use drugs, they are not mentally good. When the people are not mentally good, and they involves in criminal activities in the society. As a result, this crime increase due to drug addiction. And the last point, the individuals cannot get timely education if they indulge into narcotic drugs or Madak Padartha during schooling days. This may cause the lack of healthy and skilled manpower as well as degradation of national prestige and international arena. Dear students, uh, the children like you, if the school-going children are victimized by narcotic drugs, if they are involved in drug addiction, uh, due to that, the children are not mentally ready to go to schools. The children are not mentally ready to learn something as well. As a result, the nation cannot produce the healthy and skilled manpower. If there is not healthy and skilled manpower, then the development activities also become lacked. Not only that, if there is the high number of drug addicts in a nation, and that is the loss of national prestige, the nation as well. So this is what the adverse effects of the drug addiction. The students research other materials and then find out new more points as well. Thank you for watching these videos. This was